All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we are going to be talking about year one of the United States joining the war. Okay. Now, the last lesson was about the Native American code talkers. And yes, we went over the whole time that they were in World War II and stuff like that. So, again, we're just basically going back to when Pearl Harbor was attacked, and we're looking at the year 1942. Okay. So here is your warm up picture. Now, basically, I'm asking you, what is this artist trying to say about China and Japan? Now, if you notice on the bottom, there's that land area and it says China. So, with that being said, China, I'm sure you can guess who that big guy there is. Okay. Now, if you mention something that starts with the W and has three letters, explain to me, how do you know we're talking about that? What instrument or tool is there to show that that's probably what's happening? Okay. So think about this picture, analyze it, look what the guy's doing, look at his tool. Okay. And come up with a conclusion. Okay. So pause. I'm going to pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right. So, like I said, Pearl Harbor again was attacked December 7th, 1941. Okay. In February 19, 1942, President Roosevelt signs Executive Order 9066. Okay. What this order did was basically say that people who are Japanese descent are a national risk to the nation, because some people feared that these Japanese people who are living in the United States, who have basically been here since, I mean, they were born here, their, you know, parents and, were born here, maybe some of their grandparents were born here. Um, they are seen as a risk because they're like, "Oh, these guys are probably talking to their cousin overseas, telling them, yeah, come to Monterey, go to Santa Barbara. There's ports, and there's no military people, there's no cops or nothing. You guys can bring your ships and invade America." In reality, nobody really knew family members. These Japanese Americans didn't know anybody in Japan. But again, people were scared because, oh, these people attacked us. Now, there were some Japanese Americans who try to say, well, why don't you round up the German Americans or the Italian Americans? They declared war on us. And those people's response was, yeah, but who bombed us? Yeah, that was Japan. So they were going to round up 110,000 Japanese Americans, and these guys were going to force to leave their homes. They had to quit their jobs, and they could only take what they could carry. They were basically told, "Hey, unless you can carry whatever you're going to take with you for miles, then don't bring it. But if you can carry it for miles, then sure, bring it because you're going to be carrying it. No one's going to help you." So a lot of people just decided, I'm going to take some clothes, maybe some pictures and things like that, you know. And this picture you see right here, this is, like I said, I try to put the real stuff, and this is a little bulletin they had in San Francisco, and it's telling them what they need to do, where they need to go, what's expected of them. So they had to move out of their homes, sell their property, get out of school, stuff like that. Sell all their belongings, property by May 18th at noon. Now, if you look at that picture, right, and if you look where it says like San Francisco, it was issued May 12th. A lot of these guys had less than a week to sell all their stuff. Now, here's the thing, anything that was not sold or left behind was basically up for grabs for anybody. Okay. So yeah, these guys were trying to sell their stuff for dirt cheap. Selling a lawnmower that they probably bought for $50. They're trying to now sell. They have to sell it for like $5. You know, and like I told the class, you know, if somebody it has to sell their stuff by another 30 days, and they're saying, hey, I'll sell you my Xbox for $200, would you buy it for $200? And like everyone said no. I said, well, why, what would you do? They said wait, because eventually they're going to have to lower that price. If no one's buying it, they're going to have to lower the price even more. And that's exactly the thing, because hey, either you're going to get some money out of it, or you got to leave it behind, and somebody's going to pick it up anyway, and you get no money. So, yeah, people had to sell their businesses, farms, stores, restaurants, pennies to the dollars. They could put like $100,000 into their business, and they're only going to get maybe like $3,000 to $5,000 back. They had to sell it. Now, a student did ask, well, what about the homes? Who they sell the homes to? A lot of times it was banks, or like property manager, people, property owner, or people stuff would come to them saying, hey, how much is your house worth? 20,000. I'll give you 5,000. Or the banks would then come up and say, like, hey, this guy said he'll pay you what, 5,000? We'll pay you 6,000. You know. So people were buying the property and stuff like that dirt cheap. And they knew people were taking advantage of these Japanese Americans because they knew they were going to make money out of them. Now, the Japanese Americans basically asked the military people, where are we going? And they told them either you're going, they use different words, military zone, camps, relocation centers. And the thing is, there was 10 of them in the United States. In California, there was 2 of them at Tule Lake and Manzanar. In Arizona, there was also 2 places, Gila River and Poston. In Arkansas, there was 2 places as well, Jerome and Roar. And in Idaho, there was 1 place called Minnetonka. And in Utah, there was Topaz. In Wyoming, there was Heart Mountain. And in Colorado, there's Granada. Now, here is where some local history comes in. In Fresno, at the fairgrounds, there was a temporary area where Japanese Americans were sent to stay for a little bit. Okay, same thing where I live, right here in my town of Tulare, at our fairgrounds. It was also a temporary relocation area for Japanese Americans. So they would take them on a train and they'd bring them here to Tulare and tell them, hey, walk 300 yards straight ahead and see that fairgrounds. That's where you guys are staying for a little bit. So, yeah. And there are a lot of places in the Central Valley, their fairgrounds were used as temporary holding areas. Now, on March 11th, General Douglas MacArthur, um, this guy is like one of the best generals we have. Okay, and he's stationed in the Philippines. He does not have to answer to anybody except one person, and that's the President of the United States. He doesn't even have to answer to other generals. He's the general of the Navy. He doesn't have to answer to the generals of the Army, Marines, Air Force. They're all at the same level. Okay, they're all equal. There's only one person above them all, and that's the President of the United States. And basically, President FDR tells him, hey, MacArthur, you need to get out of the Philippines. So he's like, oh, okay, sir. Well, it's going to take us a while to get our supplies and our men. And he's like, no, 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 no. You need to leave like now. And he's like, well, sir, it takes like a couple days to get the men prepared and to go. He's like, no, 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 you're not hearing me. Not your men. You, you need to get on a boat and get out of the Philippines now. Now, remember, he's a general. He only has to listen to one person, and that one person is telling him, get on a boat, get out of there, go to Australia. So MacArthur goes towards the coast area, to get on a boat. But before he gets on, he turns around and tells his men, I shall return. And he appoints Lieutenant General Wainwright in command. He says, this is the new guy um, in charge. You guys listen to him, okay? Now, about a month later, Japan attacks the Philippines at the Battle of Bataan. Now, for 3 months, U.S. and Filipino soldiers are going against Japanese soldiers, and we're duking it out for 3 months. Well, the thing is, Japan, I mean, they basically took a page out of the Nazis and they came full force and basically captured 76,000 U.S. and Filipino troops. This is the largest capture of U.S. troops in U.S. history. Once they captured them, they told them, okay, now we're going to make you guys march to another place in the Philippines. So if you look at that picture, if you notice, the soldiers have their hands tied behind their backs and some of that. And they were basically told, start walking. So they had to march 65 miles, not always on roads. Sometimes they had to go through jungle and some of that. And any guys who've ever been through a really thick forest area, sometimes those branches, things like that, bushes will slap you and things like that. So imagine having your hands tied and trying to walk through and trying to avoid getting slapped in the face and things like that by trees and bushes and things like that. These soldiers had little to no food and sitting with clean water. They had little to no clean water and they marched. Now, I had a student in class basically say, well, if I was there, if I was one of those guys, I would have attacked one of those Japanese people and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I told him, and some people did that. And guess what happened? They got shot and killed. Nope. They would shoot and kill not the person who attacked them, but the person in front of that person and the person behind that person. And basically, like, let them know these guys are dead because of you. Because of your actions, these guys are dead. So keep messing around and find out what we're going to do. That's how they got them to stop doing that stuff. Now, uh, the General Wainwright, he's holding on to a small part of the Philippines, trying to fight off the Japanese, but he can't. And after a 2-day battle, he realizes we're going to lose. And if we don't surrender, they're going to kill us all. So he does eventually surrender to the Japanese, and the Japanese now have complete control of the Philippines. Now, later on that year, Douglas MacArthur, which is that guy you see in the picture right there, um, he is named the Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces in the Pacific under General Order Number 1. Now, he's basically like, cool, great, I'm the main guy in charge, but is everyone cool with this? All the other countries? And the US is like, no, we, us, the United States, uh, Britain, China, and Russia all agree you're the top man. Now, like I said in class, other countries, like I said, those other countries, Britain, China, Russia, could have easily said, oh, we think our general should be in charge. Our guy should be, he's accomplished so much. He's a great warrior. But when they looked at MacArthur and what he could do and what kind of stuff he has done, they're like, yeah, that's the man. That's the dude who should basically control the fighting in the Pacific Ocean. Now, going back several months, on April 18th, America completes their first secret attack on the Japanese mainland. This is known as Dolittle's Raid. Now, Lieutenant Colonel James Dolittle, he was very, very upset, livid, angry, furious with what the Japanese did to us at Pearl Harbor. So basically, he came up with this plan that we sneak up as close as we can to Japan and bomb not the cities in the coastal area, but cities deep in Japan, in the Japan island. And the top commanding officers were like, I like that plan. That sounds good. So they took planes, or sorry, planes, what ships and carriers and destroyers that we had, and basically put 16 B-25 bombers on them and sent them out. Now, here's the thing: those planes and then the ships could have got closer to Japan without being detected, but at the time they didn't know, so they were a little bit behind where the radar could have picked them up. Okay, so these B-25 bombers are in the air. They're flying over Japan, right? And they drop the bombs on Tokyo, Kobe, Yokohama, Nagoya. And the Japanese citizens are just terrified. They're scared. They're running because nobody has ever bombed them. So the Japanese military, remember, they've been attacking all these other islands, and now they're being attacked. So they start calling their ships, "Come back, come back!" They've been on the attack, on the offense. They never thought about being on defense because nobody's ever attacked them like this before. So now they're bringing back a bunch of ships to protect the island of Japan. And the thing is, this attack scared the crap out of the Japanese citizens. So now they're always looking up, like, "Oh my God, what's that? What's that noise? Is that another, bomber plane?" They're scared. They're terrified. And the opposite effects happens to the Americans. The Americans are happy. They're cheering. They're like, "Yeah, how do you like it when someone bombs the heck out of you out of nowhere? How do you like it?" So it gives Americans a boost, a morale, jump. Like, "Yeah, we can, how do you like it now?" So Americans are feeling good about this attack, where the Japanese have like the fear of God and they're terrified now. Now, the Battle of Coral Sea. This is the first time that the Navy and Air Force are basically fighting out in the ocean. Okay, we've had other battles where battleship goes against battleship, some of that. We've had those, or plane goes against plane, but over land. This is the first time that planes and boats are fighting all in the same area in the same battle. Okay, now the U.S. sends an invading force at Fort Moresby. The reason why they do this is because they really need these islands, because we need a place to have like a headquarters, a place where we can bring supplies and things like that. So if ships or planes need more fuel, need ammunition, they could come back, you know, and get that instead of having to go all the way to Hawaii, or sail all the way over there, or fly all the way over there, you know. Now, Japan basically comes up with a plan. They're like, "Well, we destroyed like over 100 of the American ships at Pearl Harbor. A lot of those ships are destroyed, are you know, in the sense like not working. The Americans are trying to fix them. What if we go back to Hawaii and take the island hostage and basically tell the Americans, if you don't leave the war, we're either going to bomb the heck out of Hawaii, or we're going to take over and it's going to be ours." So the Japanese top people are like, "Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that." The thing is, they sent this message on coded messages, and our cryptographers broke the code. And they see, like, "Oh, these guys are going to try to invade." So what the United States did is they took all the battleships, all the planes that we had, and they sent them out towards Midway. Now, Midway Island is that what you see in that picture right there. It is what it says it is. It's an island in the middle of the Pacific. It's like dead center between the United States and where like China and Japan are. It's like dead smack in the middle. There's no real islands anywhere else near. So if you're on a plane and you need to refuel at this place and you miss it, chances are you're going to be crashing in the ocean unless you get lucky and find it again, you know. So that's what happens. The Americans send their ships, their planes towards Midway, and they're basically waiting. The Japanese start charging towards Hawaii. And the thing is, they don't realize it, but the Americans are waiting for them. So when they come, here comes the Americans right here, and they just unleash hell. And like I said in class, if you're running full speed, can you stop like that at a drop of a dime? No, right? Your momentum carries you. Same thing with these planes and these boats. The planes aren't even fueled up, aren't even ready to go. And these boats are just steaming through, and all of a sudden there's American boats and planes ready for them, and they start attacking. So these guys are like, what in the heck is going on? This is the first time in 350 years that the Japanese Navy lost a battle. Okay. Um, Japan lost 3,500 men, 4 carriers, 1 cruiser ship, and 332 planes. Whereas the United States only lost 307 men, 1 carrier ship, and 150 planes. So yeah, we really just smacked uh, Japan around on that battle. Now here's a little fact that it just blows my mind that nobody ever talks about this or it's not in the history books and stuff like that. June 21st, 1942, a Japanese submarine attacks a military depot at Fort Stevens, Oregon. Okay, now this fort is not like right on the ocean, or on an island. No, it's in the mainland, and it gets attacked by this submarine. They're launching missiles and stuff like that at it. This is the first attack on the U.S. mainland since the War of 1812. In that war, Britain burnt down the Capitol building. They burned the White House. This is in that war. That's where we get our Star Spangled Banner from. Francis Scott Key made the poem because of that war. That's how long it was since somebody actually attacked America and our mainland. Okay. August 7th, 1942, the Battle of Guadalcanal begins. Now, for 6 months, we're fighting the Japanese. We're going back and forth, and we eventually take control of the island. But it cost us dearly. Okay. Um, we lost a lot of guys. And the thing is, you have to remember, is there any tropical area inside the mainland of the United States? And the answer is no. We have desert land, we have mountain land, we have flat land, we have areas where it just snows like crazy, but we don't have tropic. The closest thing we have is like swampland, you know, in Florida, Louisiana, stuff like that. It's not really tropic, it's just humid. And that's the thing. Some of our soldiers are in the Guadalcanal where it's tropic and they're getting bitten by these bugs and mosquitoes, and they carry diseases our guys never experienced before, so they get really, really sick. Some guys, even like, it's raining and they need water, so they put their canteen against some leaves and things like that to collect the water. So it's kind of like a little funnel system. Problem is, there's a lot of birds and insects and animals that live in the jungle. And when they go to the restroom, sometimes it falls on those leaves. And so when the rain falls on those leaves and these guys are collecting that water in the canteen and drinking it, yeah, they're going to get sick. Okay. Now, Germany, just like Japan, they need oil. The thing is, the Nazis could easily buy oil, but Hitler's in the hey, I'm going to conquer, type of mood. I've been taking over areas all around Europe. he basically says, why buy it when I could just conquer the Middle East that have all that oil, and I get it for free basically then. So that's his plan. Now, the Germans control part of the North Africa continent area. And this is where Britain and the United States come in. And they're trying to stop the Nazis from uh, going towards the Middle East and taking over that area as well as Africa. Okay. And this is where Operation Torch takes place. Now, by this time, it's the end of the year 1942, our first year in the war. And we lost about 35,000 men in battle. Most of those guys died in the Pacific. Okay. So that is year one of World War II for the United States. Okay. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Um, so with that being said, guys, don't forget you have your projects due this grading period. You have the Native American packet, due at the end of the grading period too. So don't forget about those. Okay. Um, and also, like I said, the vocab and things like that. But that you guys already know about that stuff. So we do that every grading period. So with that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later.